tools that you would have liked to. It's a bit more conditional now on top esports sides where you're relying on these shockwaves, you're relying on these deadly flourishes. It's not like you've got the same as the last game where they've got a definitive front line who can buy space for the Jhin, buy space for the Orianna. So I'm a bit concerned about the top esports lineup. Honestly, for Orianna and Jhin, they very much prefer where you've got like a very definitive, hey, we're fighting front to back here, we're going to take these choke points where the Orianna ball can do a lot of work, where we got the curtain call as well, everyone lined up beautifully for you. However, because they've gone for this Akali now in the top lane, you now have a flanker that wants to be coming in off the side, so you don't...
to look dominant because they found themselves great lane matchups in basically every lane, so you expect top to be coming out of the laning phase incredibly strong. I am hyped to see 369 on this Akali against a Kennen.
It's when he gets towards those later team fights that I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to operate, because obviously the big thing about Kennen is that Maelstrom, being able to plonk that down makes it very difficult for Akali to operate at close quarters. Yes, she can go into the shroud, but still taking a heap of damage from that ultimate. And as well, when you get towards the team fights, you got a really nice combo that kind of works on Vici's side, where okay, I've got two people that I can look towards, both Cube and Aix, who can go in aggressive if they want to. Well, if I'm Rell, cool, I can attach or link to either of those. Now I got this big stun, I've got a lot of follow-up, especially from the concern of like, okay, how do we keep our backline safe from the likes of Karsa and 369? Well, again, you've got Rell with that magnetism that works super well at just keeping and dragging folks off your backline. So honestly, I kind of like the tools that Vici have to deal with 369, but and at least a lot of the likes of Jgl and Karsa as well. So on paper, as you said, I like what Vici have got here and the ways to deal with top esports. We'll have to see if they're able to operate in that fashion.
I'm already afraid for iBoy. I'm spending this entire series afraid for iBoy. Here we go. Knock up misses on towards JackeyLove. He walks away. Gets a little grenade in as well. So overall, it's, I guess, a slight win for top esports, but realistically a fairly neutral trade to start the game off here. But it looks like we're just going to have 2v2s galore here. JackeyLove forced to use the cleanse early. A great face breaker, though. And iBoy's the one in trouble now. Flash not available for JackeyLove, so he can't close the gap. But what a way to start the lane, Dagda.
Definitely, and this is the aggression that I wanted to see. This is what Vici have been doing when they play Samira. Get these aggressive supports, trade heavily level 1, burn a bunch of summoner spells, and watch the pathing from Aix. He moves from top towards bot, he'll be down there, and they can try and set up these plays in favour of iBoy. But Karsa, finding a bit of room here for Knight in this mid lane.
Yeah, doing a cheeky little bit of damage to FoFo as well as he moves towards the bottom side of the map here. Gets a ward on towards the chickens. Not quite on the chickens, but should spot Aix if he goes through that part of the jungle.
Yeah, and look, this is all they're trying to do, but watching that bottom side of the map, iBoy and Hung are now trying to force this wave in. They really want that wave to bounce, which is why you can see they're just trying to clear it as quickly as possible, reset where the lane's at, try and play aggressive off of JackeyLove having both summoner spells burnt. But it looks like with JackeyLove backing, they're just going to try and get it back in of their own and wait for a later day where they can try and punish the summoner spell usage.
Yeah, Duo is more than happy to just sit and tank that wave for a little bit there, so JackeyLove will be able to get here before the majority of these minions go down. So very nicely done here from top esports as well. Should be able to close that CS gap a little bit, but iBoy will still have a minor CS advantage in that bottom lane. And I want to sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I want to see Vici now use this to get bot side river control, because you've got a really strong mid jungle 2v2 for Vici here with the Hecarim and the Zoe. They completely outclass Karsa and Knight with the Graves and the Orianna, so they can move in towards river, especially now that you've got iBoy and Hung having control of that bottom side and make these plays.
Knight's in trouble, but Karsa's here alongside him. That's both summoners used for the mid laner here. Hung literally doesn't take damage though, so that's kind of fine for Vici to do. Here we go, Karsa wants to prove me wrong here. Jumps on with a shotgun in onto the horse here, and they might just finish off first blood. Karsa grabbing the credit for that one as FoFo wants to answer. Q goes through, does hit, but can't finish the kill off. It's going to be Joel pulled back in and taken down to even up support for support.
Nice job from Vici. Cube has been so good at reading the map state and understanding when he needs to roam and help out, and that just pays off dividends there, because great job from top esports to turn around that mid lane play. I was about to say it was basically perfect for Vici, but at least they get something back for sure. But just hanging on. No, 369 is going to be fine. But the big thing here, to take away from that trade is, okay, 1-for-1, fantastic, but both the flash and the cleanse being down for the Orianna are massive. This opens up so many opportunities for FoFo, where now he can either look to play super aggressive on towards Knight alongside Aix, or he can use the fact that Knight has to play so meek in this lane to start to roam down towards his bottom side, and you can look for these potential 4-man dives. But you can see here, just Vici with Cube coming down, realised they've got the numbers advantage. They got on towards Jgl, who just used the flash, and they're able to get that trade back. But nice job, at least from Jgl, to again get out of this bottom lane. And this was something that top esports were missing a lot, where yuyanjia was just a support who was willing to roam and get out and try and have more influence on the map.
Yeah, and it's so refreshing to see as well. And, I mean, when we talk about the new bot lane duo as well for top esports, I think when you look at these guys posturing in the lane, when you look at JackeyLove and Duo stepping up 2v2, it gets you excited, right? You're ready to watch what happens. When it was JackeyLove and yuyanjia stepping up 2v2, you get nervous. You're like, oh no, it's all about to go wrong. They're about to throw the game. It's such a dramatically different feeling watching these teams play.
And I mean, this is only the short period of time that we've seen Jgl with this team, but already it's the difference maker for top esports, and why I think coming in towards LPL 2021, this is the top team. Like, we already were kind of vying with JDG, but this just levels them up so much, having that much more engage heavy, aggressive support to facilitate JackeyLove.
Ults galore going away in the top lane, but oh, perfect execution flashed away from by Cube there. I'm not sure if that would have quite been enough to finish the kill, but it very much might have been. Nice little skirmish there. Now same in the mid lane, but Knight looks to be out of mana.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been enough, but Cube just getting a little bit antsy, not wanting to go for the full trade. But either way, it's going to be a nice play from 369, and this is what we're talking about. 369 definitely has control in this lane matchup, but it's when he gets towards the team fights later on, we'll have to see how he navigates them to stay away from the Maelstorms, from the onslaught of shadows, even from Hung as well, who with that magnetism can pull him out of his shrouds. So there's a lot there that he's got to try and deal with. However, see a really decent trade in the mid lane coming through from Knight, gets the burn onto the shockwave.
Karsa wants a 1v1 for himself, not quite level 6, so it doesn't have the collateral damage, but Aix, this is not your jungle, my friend. There's a hunter with a shotgun, and he's got horse on the menu. He's going to flash forward for the kill, and Karsa puts his foot down in this jungle.
So well played by Karsa, realizing, look, FoFo took this horrific trade in the mid lane, so now he's got full control over mid. He can just run in and get on top of Aix, and understanding just how much he can do there. Gets the kill, 2-0 for the Graves. They've got river control again, and they can turn it over towards this dragon when they're ready.
JackeyLove dodging the knock up here. Draw taking a lot of damage. Does still have the Haymaker available. Doesn't have to use it. Ignite used there. iBoy blocking a couple of the shots as Hung just takes the 4th shot. Good trades, though, consistently from Vici in this bottom lane.
Yeah, and I mean, look, when you're able to get the CC pretty much guaranteed from Rell with multiple different avenues there, it's always going to work out. Jgl has to be so on point with these face breakers to try and interrupt that the crash down, so then you're not getting knocked up and you've got iBoy following in. But even when that's done, you can still see there's a decent amount of CC that can still come through to set up Vici's bot side. And if you ever do end up with Aix coming in as well, and you've got JackeyLove who's in a vulnerable spot, they can try and turn that around. But at least the good news for top esports is those early summoner spells that were burnt by JackeyLove have come back up, so he's not as vulnerable as he once was.
Honestly, at this point, Hung might as well just be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he's essentially got a Magnet Warrior going for himself in the bottom side of the map. I'm curious what top esports trap card is in this 2v2. Is Cube taking another hit there? It's going to be a relatively even top lane, despite 369 having that counter pick. He's not found himself too much of an advantage to start the game off, and obviously through Cube managing to grab himself the kill during that first skirmish. So a bit of an advantage on the top side in favor of Vici. It's going to be Herald taken as well as Karsa was in the base.
Yeah, and I'm surprised to see that top esports aren't playing more heavily around, well, actually, sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. I'm not surprised that top esports are playing more heavily through Karsa. I would like to see them play more heavily around Karsa for this game. He's got 2 kills. He's working very quickly up towards that Gale Force. Like, or actually, it looks like the Immortal Shield Bow. He's swapping over to with that Bam Scepter. But either way, like, he's in a really strong position right now. And if you can try and have Jgl and JackeyLove play towards this dragon, start to set themselves up for a nice mid game, they should be able to work out pretty well for themselves. But unfortunately, they're just not confident enough with Knight being on the back foot in this Zoe Orianna matchup to try and get full river control, try and go for these objectives.
369 taking a bit of punishment in that trade there, but when you look across the items on the board here, JackeyLove having that serrated Dirk, you've got the Lost Chapter for Knight as well. It feels like top esports are feeling confident enough to just step up in this river here. They're going to at very least get the Scuttle Crab for themselves. It wouldn't surprise me too much to see them just start the dragon off, just to see if Vici will test the waters and fight them, because top esports like to fight.
Yeah, they definitely do, but at the same time, they have started it up, but you're still waiting for a lot of these first items to come through, like, that makes such a big difference for this composition.
Ooh,
but
iBoy wants the 1v1 with JackeyLove flashes under the tower. Ooh, nearly got away, 1 HP, but iBoy finishes it, slides away and trades it for the dragon.
And this is why I've loved Samira for iBoy. He's able to find these moments and opportunities to make the big play. Picks off JackeyLove there. Now the dragon still goes away at top esports, but suddenly Vici with a Rift Tower to this bottom lane can do a lot.
Here we go, Joe. He doesn't need JackeyLove. He's his own independent man. iBoy's ticking away, but the Ignite's not enough. iBoy gets out. Karsa's here. Collateral damage is on cooldown, but Karsa might just finish these kills off anyway. Q will get one for himself, and now on towards Hung. Dro has the face breaker, gets the stun for himself. Hung gets underneath the tower. Haymaker's not quite enough. Hung surviving. Karsa's tanking the tower. He's gonna go down. Hung gets the kill.
Oh god, that was so messy. Look at the smile on Karsa's face. He knows he's messed up, but oh, that was a disaster. So initially it's looking okay for top esports where they aim to turn that around, but oh, hang on.
Oh, bubble doesn't quite land. That was a close one though. Knight feeling the pressure in the mid lane.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a replay of it here. So this is a great job from iBoy to set up this play. Like, just understanding, look, Samira so much stronger in these duels that they're able to take him down. Has the heal available as well, those combat summoners. But on the bot side as well, Rell missing that CC from Hung meant that Karsa was able to get in, gets the kill, at least one kill in his favor. But Karsa diving a little bit too far forward means that they get one back. So all said and done, it actually does kind of come out Vici's way, apart from that dragon going over towards top esports.
Yeah, when you look at the gold as well, very much in favor of Vici, as they just got 3 plates in the mid lane. iBoy's going to get himself 2 plates in the bottom side as well. So they're going to be just over 1,000 gold ahead, and Karsa, he wants to answer for that disparity right now. Cube has Ignite and Heal though. Honestly, Kennen with Ignite Heal, I can believe that he can win this.
Will get spotted out though. Does have the Maelstrom as well, so can play reasonably far up because Will has that CC to make sure he's able to escape. And there's a surprising amount of damage that can come out of this Kennen just off of the 2 items that he has with the Hextech Alternate and the Blasting Wand. Like, if you get on towards Graves, I know he's got the Immortal Shield Bow, but it's going to be pretty close with that Ignite about how quickly you can take him down.
You know, I'm starting to get excited about this Vici roster deck though, because,
yeah,
you know, when you compare this to the Vici of last year, there was like, it felt like it almost worked, you know. It felt like it was almost there. But plugging FoFo into the mid lane here, such a confident mid lane player, it feels like this team has a lot more, I guess, purpose to their play than what you would have expected from them at the end of summer.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think certainly FoFo is a player that thrives when you've got a team that's willing to play around him. And Vici are more than happy to have Aix play around mid lane. We saw it a lot coming through with Zika. We're seeing it a lot now as well, where you're having even Hung move up quite a bit towards this mid lane, supporting FoFo, making sure that he's able to confidently play out his lane state. And it means that then Vici, when they hit these mid-game points, have got a really strong carry. But top side,
369 wants the 1v1 here. Cube not having any of it. Ult's ease just gets on out of dodge, so fair enough. Respecting the 1v1, respecting that he does not want that.
Yeah, and you can see that you're going towards the Leeching Leer for 369, so he's not going towards that heavy damage build that you see coming through with, say, like the Night Stalker or even Rocket Belt or something along these lines. Instead, he's going towards that Rift Maker, so survivability in these team fights is what he's going for, which is key with all that we've talked about with the amount that he's going to have to deal with in these team fights, but it means his damage is a little bit lacking, so these 1v1s aren't quite as strong as they could be, but at least it means that when 369 gets towards those later team fights, he can still have that big impact.
I will say, though, that true damage just get a little bit cheeky.
Yeah.
Knight taking a massive hit there. Couldn't quite get the shield out in time, and that was the Rocket Belt proc coming from FoFo as well off the back of his Spell Thief. So nice little use of the Zoe kit there, but Rift Herald going to be started up by Top Esports. And,
oh, he actually got us.
Wait, he got that?
Karsa stole that.
No way. Beautifully done there by Karsa.
That's insane. I actually can't believe he got that with that ultimate. Well, look, Karsa's been smurfing. Karsa's been looking pretty damn good. We'll take that one play out where he ran underneath the turret. That was just... We'll scrap that one from the records. Okay? Yeah, exactly. But I mean, why wouldn't you be? He's got 2 kills already. He's been unleashed on this Graves. Great matchup for him. And the biggest thing that I thought for Vici would be playing much more. Well, we talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to see more of it, was playing either through this bot or this mid lane, specifically more through mid lane. Because I think when you've got FoFo in this decent matchup, he's looking pretty good on the Zoe, and you have a winning mid-jungle 2v2, you should be able to get a lot of control of River, try and make these plays onto the Orianna when the Flash and the Cleanse were burnt, but we've just seen nothing really come out from Aix, and now he's starting to fall behind when it comes through that farm. You've got the kills coming through from the Graves, and it's all going to get a lot more difficult for Aix.
Ooh, iBoy with a nice little dodge, so... Jgl doesn't find the opportunity. I thought we were going to have a 2v2 going on the bottom side. Karsa's going to find the 1v1 with the horsey. Once again, we know how this one ends. Aix just going to have to gallop off into the sunset.
You can see FoFo was moving down as well, so Top Esports didn't want to go overly aggressive, but they are doing such a good job of bullying Vici out of this river. Now again, Karsa can just solo out this dragon if he really wants to, but looks like they're looking for the play on bot side instead.
Karsa's just going to run at them here. I think he's just going to help get bot lane priority. 1 auto and a Q onto the wave, but apparently it's enough. As Top Esports now going to back away. Nice positioning from iBoy and Hung there to threaten the 2v2, meaning the top can't really just commit to going into the river.
Now, they don't really have position to set up either. They really want to make sure they're controlling these choke points. Try and draw Vici in where the Orianna Shockwave can do a lot of work, where you can have JackeyLove set up correctly, and even Karsa, just that straight line damage would be beautiful, but they will just get the dragon. It looks like Vici aren't confident that they're going to be able to take that trade, as 369 had roamed down and there was no TP available on Cube.
Yeah, nicely done there from Top Esports. 369 comes down to answer, makes sure that Top Esports have a numbers advantage. They can grab themselves that second Drake of the game, and it's going to be Infernal Soul. So far, Top Esports are 6 dragons to 0 in this series. And Vici are going to want to contest for that next one.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty damn clean from Top Esports. And especially when I expected Vici to have full control coming into at least the early point in this game, I'm surprised with how well Top Esports have been able to get these early dragons. Again, it kind of is stemming back towards Vici lacking a bit of confidence in making the proactive plays. They're very good at punishing people that are overextending, but they just really haven't been able to find that decisiveness where they're like, right, we can be the ones that go aggressive here. We see it a little bit from Hung and iBoy, like in the lane, but they need to bring that aggressiveness out of the lane, make these plays happen towards mid, get control of the river, and see if they can actually take the fight to Top Esports.
Well, there's just Triforce now in the pocket of Aix. This is his Hannah Montana moment. This is where he gets to strut onto center stage and show us that he really does have the lungs of an angel. Whether or not that's true, though, is a different question. And it looks like it's not happening. He's just run away instead. So my Hannah Montana analogy goes for naught.
Well, JackeyLove takes...
I was hoping you were going to bounce with some High School Musical or something there, mate. You left me hanging.
Well, look, I it's a bit early, all right, for High School Musical. I'm not ready to be seen, but looks like Vici anyway over here Going to be setting up the Rift Tower. Karsa again, like this damage from FoFo is absolutely insane off the Luden's Tempest and already poking a whole bunch of top esports members out. But
oh, Dro with the 3-man face breaker in with the curtain call as well. But Cube trying to make some work happen. 369 with the instant double kill. That is perfect execution in a nutshell. Shockwave onto iBoy, but he's Samira, so it doesn't matter. JackeyLove, the last man standing, but the flash forward and finished off.
And this is what I was talking about. Top esports, although they get this massive engage from Jgl, they aren't able to follow up correctly. Vici come in from all angles and they're able to wipe top esports off the Rift.
Absolutely beautiful stuff from Vici, and we see top esports team fighting get tested. This is what we needed to see.
But again, like, look at where this fight is set up. So you get this big engage coming through for Jgl, which looks fantastic, but Cube again, straight on towards the back line, pressuring out Karsa, making sure Knight can't get in. And then iBoy, the hero play here, able to get so much damage off. Look at that healing. He must have been on, like, single-digit health at one point in that fight, but it's still able to make it work. And this is where we talked about, you know, having that front line to buy space for the Orianna and this Jhin. Well, that's lacking, and it means that Cube is able to get in onto the back line. iBoy is able to make these aggressive plays that are turning these fights around.
And look, I just want to remind everyone that this isn't a new thing for iBoy. Like, iBoy has always been this player. JackeyLove is the new kid on the block when it comes to trying to pull off the 1v9 AD carry plays. iBoy's been doing this for years. It's just sometimes he's not as consistent as some of the other top tier AD carries in the LPL. But when it happens, it really happens with iBoy.
And it feels like he's found his home on Samira as well. Like, he's been the AD carry that has brought it out the most. You can see the results here. And what is with top esports and stealing away buffs?
Yeah,
like this game
sure 369 so snagged that one. Yeah,
yeah, he did. Yeah, this is just anyway. But look, coming back to iBoy, the Smear has been the pick from. It's really opened up this bottom lane, found a lot of aggression that was lacking from the spot side, and both iBoy and Hung, at least on these aggressive plays where you can get this engage heavy support, more focus on the levels 3 to 4 to 5. That seems to be where Vici are having a lot of success.
So, importantly, Dagda, Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds. So let's talk about this. What? Oh, hang on, 369. What are you doing, mate? Like, I'm the first one to sing his praises usually, but that was questionable.
That was int. That's the only way to say it. You had Knight in that bottom side of the map who was not in a position to try and come up. You now have no top laner. You've got Dragon that's up. I mean, this is just Vici's no bother whatsoever.
I was about to ask you, what can Vici do to contest a Drake in this game?
Well, let me tell you, Munchables. Yeah, so what they need to do is bait 369 into overextending so they can get this kill. And maybe, just maybe, they can get this Dragon. I'm not 100% certain, but I think that might be the play.
369, just type in lag in all chat real quick. Let's all just
ping
pretend that
it,
didn't happen. Don't worry
ping.
about it, guys.
Yeah.
It's not like we're in a semi-final or anything. It's not like it's a really important game. Anyway, yeah, 369, you know, with some of the plays that we've seen this game, we'll let him off with a fumble or two. Especially with last game, actually.
I mean, look, it may be the last one. He's got his Zhonya's now completed, so 2 items here for the Akali, and it means that she's a lot more threatening in these team fights as well, because you've got that survivability from both the Shroud, the Omni Vamp that comes through from Riftmaker, and now that Stasis effect too, so at least buying a bit more space for 369 in these fights. But again, I want to see how top esports operate. They want to try and draw Vici in towards these choke points, where again Jgl can go for these big flash plays, but you need the instant follow-up with Knight getting the big shockwave, shutting people down ASAP.
Knight's been knocked up though. In comes Aix, and Hecarim is no slouch once you got that Triforce. A nice easy pick. And Vici are snowballing this one pretty hard. 6,000 gold lead now for them. FoFo's going to be able to finish this tower off alongside Aix. Vici are very much in command of things right now.
Definitely, and this is one of the big issues with the Orianna being in that mid lane, is that although she can go super well in team fights, she doesn't work so well when you get her into a side lane, because she is incredibly vulnerable, and you see it there. Easy to pick off. They get the tower, they get the kill, and now they turn towards Baron.
It's a confident play. Knight won't have TP, so they can maybe just brute force this, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. Droll takes almost all of his health bar there from FoFo. Just the power of this Zoe pick coming through, but in the end, Vici threatened enough that they have to back away.
Oh, Cube once more, though. Exhaust, just tossed out there.
Ooh.
Still has the unsealed spellbook. But no, it'll be fine. They're just trying to see what they can pick off, maybe buy some space, but won't be able to get anything off of the pick onto the Orianna. Well, any more off the pick onto tonight. Side lanes are in their favor, though, so this is kind of the perfect time now for Vici to back, spend that gold that they have, start to at least look towards this dragon. Now, it is still 3 minutes away, but at least off of the resets, they can start to get some vision control in their play, start to force Top Esports back. And again, because Top Esports don't really have a tank on their team, it becomes very easy for them to pick off members as they start to move through the darkness towards this dragon.
Well, the night is dark and full of terrors, and one of those terrors is Hecarim. And you really don't want to be found. Knight just found that out for himself firsthand there. It's not pretty. When Hecarim's got a Triforce, especially when he's headed towards 2 items as well, if he finds you alone, he's going to run you down and gun you down. Karsa was winning out the 1v1 earlier on, but whether or not that's still true is a different question.
Well, I mean, especially when you look towards Rell at this stage, like, Rell, because she's got the E, she's going to be given a huge amount of armor and magic resist towards whoever she's linked with. At the moment it is iBoy, so given a bit of survivability towards the Samira, but if he wants to, he can easily connect on towards Aix, give him a huge amount of extra defense stats, and it becomes very difficult then for Karsa to try and deal with them. Phage as well, coming through for Aix, means he's got a good amount of survivability, but maybe not quite as much as Karsa, who's gone for all the lifesteal that ever existed with the Immortal Shield Bow into the BT. So expect a lot of healing to be coming through this Graves.
Yeah, this is the Walking Dead build that I think LS was the one really touting this on Twitter. 369's in trouble though. It's going to be knocked up here. This is a massive amount of CC. Slicing Maelstrom though, suboptimal. It popped it as soon as the Zhonya's came through. 369 zips on out of there. Yeah, I forget the name of the character from Walking Dead, but apparently one of them looks like Graves, so this lifesteal build has been named after him. But I don't remember the character's name.
Fair enough. The big issue here, though, is, okay, you're looking at Cube, who will have his ultimate back up in time for this dragon, but for 369, he won't have his Zhonya's now available for the start of this dragon fight. And we talked about how important it is to have the survivability as the Akali. So that Zhonya's being burnt is actually a pretty big win for Vici. And I'm curious to see now how they want to try and force this fight, because we talked about Vici not really being the proactive team in a lot of their fights. This is the time where they need to be proactive. And it looks like maybe they have found it with JackeyLove.
Oh no, Hecarim versus carries. There's just nothing you can do. JackeyLove used both of his sums as well and still goes down. That is brutal. That is another guaranteed dragon. Every single time dragon comes up, someone from Top Esports extends.
Yeah, and that was such an overextension from JackeyLove. There was no reason to be pushed up that far, especially when you don't have the support coming through from your team. And again, it's Night off in these side lanes, so he's not even in a position here to get down towards this next dragon. So that's now 2 Infernal Dragons already going over the way of Vici. And when you're looking towards FoFo on this Zoe, when you're looking towards Cube having these big ultimates, that's going to be a lot of extra damage coming in from Vici's lineup.
It really is. That is double Infernal now. And just for any AD carry mains in the chat that have been not enjoying Season 11 so far, if you need a therapy game, just lock in Hecarim, finish your Triforce, and just run at the enemy AD carry. Cackle maniacally. Feel the other side of the matchup, because it feels good.
I mean, look, there's a reason that we're struggling to find AD carries in solo queue at the moment, right? There's a lot of people that have swapped to go towards the opposite end of things. But look, at this stage, if we're looking at an AD carry who's having a fair L time, it's going to be iBoy. Like 4-1-3, Immortal Shield Bow, Infinity Edge Collector already. Like, this guy is going to be churning out so much damage. Has that 60% crit chance as well, which means he's getting that extra damage, but or off of the Infinity Edge. But I was looking at Karsa, just sneaks in, clears the ward, hops back over. No issues for him.
With infinite lifesteal as well, by the way.
Yeah.
He was hitting Baron the whole time. Baron was hitting him back, and he just didn't even seem to notice. Apparently, it's the Nagan build, is the name of the character.
I've actually never seen Walking Dead.
I've
So,
never
I
seen
don't
Walking
know.
Dead either, which is why I didn't know
Yeah.
the name of the character. But I googled it the other day, and then I forgot the answer when I found out.
You see, I'm the worst for it because I haven't seen so many different things. Like, I've seen Game of Thrones, but there's a lot that I haven't watched. There's JackeyLove,
Oh,
I've seen this before.
I haven't seen JackeyLove. I can't see him anywhere, in fact. I don't know where he went. 12-5 now on the scoreboard. This one's a wash, Dagda. Top esports are nowhere to be seen.
But this is what we were talking about from Champ Select. The Akali pick kind of just baffled me. Like, it's great for lane, but the composition just can't really do very much. You don't really have the threat that you need. You're relying heavily on Jgl to try and start off these fights, but when you've got FoFo that ranges you, you've got so much disengage, or at least like anti-engage coming through from the likes of Cube, FoFo, iBoy, Hung as well. Like, it's so difficult to operate as top esports.
Yeah, it's brutal, and now Baron going to be kicked off by Vici. They've got everything in their favor. They've got everything they could ever dream of for this fight. JackeyLove's only just respawned. Shockwave onto 2 here. Can they follow up? The damage just isn't there, unfortunately.
No, and look, I mean, Karsa can't survive forever, but he's not going for the likes of the Collector or the Gale Force, where he has that burst damage available to him. He's more about being a bit more tanky because they don't have that front line. So the damage is lacking. They do find a connection here on towards 369, but there's nothing really there to follow up.
And the hilarious thing is, off the back of that pick onto JackeyLove, it's actually top esports that get an objective. They're the ones that get that mid tower, because nobody could do Baron. Top esports almost won a 4v5 there. That is kind of bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say it was a nice pick coming through from Knight. It's Vici not really respecting where that Orianna ball was going to be, but you just can't really finish them off. And at that point, look, Orianna, she still has relatively long cooldowns at this stage. She's not going to be like, that burst damage is all gone. You've got JackeyLove, who isn't really able to set up properly either because he got picked off. But I'm still pretty heavily in favor of Vici at this stage if they just operate the way their team comp wants, which is have FoFo poke from afar. If you have top esports trying to engage, use Cube with this big maelstrom to buy space for iBoy, for FoFo, whittle down top esports, and then you can go in with this massive follow-up from the Hecarim, from the Samira, and from Rell.
Yeah, and one of the things with Rell as well is you can shatter the armor on characters like Jgl, for example, and make them irrelevant, and it feels like a really good combo.
Yeah, and look, it's just so easy to operate, right? Because as you can see, Hung had been connected to Aix there. If Aix goes in aggressive with the Onslaught of Shadows, cool. Run in behind them, get the stun. Then you have the Hecarim charge as well to knock people back into the team. Hung can follow up at that stage. Like, it's just this beautiful combo that just keeps giving in the CC department.
Say, oh my goodness, damage onto JackeyLove. Has the cleanse, so won't die to the trouble bubble, and Aix can't really focus Drow as his target. So top esports get away with that one, but it's another summoner burn, and JackeyLove will need to head back to base before he can rejoin the fight. 30 seconds on the Drake.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big one for both sides. I mean, Vici getting towards Soul Point with 3 Infernals is going to be so difficult for top esports to deal with. You can already see how much damage FoFo's turning out with the Luden's Echo Horizon focus, and he's quickly going to be working up towards the likes of the Void Staff as well, just to make sure he's bursting through everyone on top esports.
Alright, this Drake is for Soul Point right here. Neither team will be getting Soul, they'll just be getting themselves to the point where they can threaten it next time around. Aix takes a huge chunk, and let's bear in mind, Knight's on 3 items. This Orianna can just carry the game at this point. Like, it's still winnable. Let me just re-clarify before this fight. Top esports can still win team fights here and can still take this game. Don't believe that this one's done and dusted just yet.
Yeah, but I like what Vici are doing here. Spreading out, going from multiple angles means it's very difficult for Knight to carry.
Here we go, Jgl taking a lot of damage, goes into the back line, and it's just going to be already over, I think. Double kill comes on through Samira on the back line. But 369 is popping off, couldn't quite finish off Cube. There's the triple for himself as he rolls all 9s all day, baby. He's going to go down in the end, but what a play from him to even things up.
A fantastic play from him, but Vici had already won the fight. Now they can go and collect their prize in this bottom lane as they're looking to crack up in the base. 30 seconds on top esports. They won't be able to finish, but they can at least deal a pretty devastating blow to top esports.
369 he's not had the best game of his life here, and so he's like, look, let's just make a montage moment so I can walk away happy from this game, even if it's a loss. I think is basically the mindset at this point. This is going to be the Drake as well on top of the bot lane in hip for Vici, you'd expect, as Aix will be able to gallop across the map to get back to this objective.
I love the way Vici approached that fight, though, because you talked about Knight potentially having the 1v9. Well, you need to make sure that Vici are all there so you can get that big shockwave. It's nice and easy to get the ball positioned in the right spot. But when Vici approached that fight, they had Cube coming in from that bot side. They had Aix approaching from the top as well. And just sandwiching top esports into an uncomfortable spot where you can't set up properly as JackeyLove and Knight. And it makes it a lot easier for Vici to take that victory.
Yeah, really, really difficult for the carries to operate on the side of top esports right now. Especially, this Rell is looking fantastic in this kind of composition where you have other champions that want to dive in and hard engage alongside you. You were talking about it earlier. It feels like a fantastic little setup that Vici have got going for themselves. Yeah. And maybe a bit of a disrespectful draft from the side of top esports.
Yeah, and I'm coming back to your point for Rell. Like, Rell is very much a facilitator. Like, she's not hugely reliant on with her engage because you've got that W that can be interrupted by knockups and that. But when you're able to work with these dive-heavy styles like the Hecarim, the Samira, giving both the diver a bunch of extra stats plus the ability to follow up with CC, and then you're able to go in with the magnetism as well. Like, that's where Rell shines, and this is the perfect composition for her. And that's why Hung is looking so good on her right now.
And I do feel like maybe this Akali 5th pick, when stuff like Ornn was available, is a little bit of maybe 369 not wanting to play the tank, maybe more down to the players on top esports as opposed to optimal drafting. Because perhaps just having a bit more of a front line would have been the answer for top esports.
Yeah, and that was kind of what we were calling from the get-go, was having a front line for top, but maybe they were just looking win lane, win game kind of style, thinking they could have 369 bully out Cube, which you nearly could, but couldn't quite in the end. Now, though, again, look at the spread from Vici, coming in from multiple angles. You can't have Knight just play forward with this Orianna ball, because you always have the threat of Cube coming in.
Damage onto Aix, though. They're just trying to finish off the jungler. Having to use the Onslaught of Shadows to escape. Shockwave there onto iBoy. He's taken into his GA very early on. Cube can't get anyone with his Maelstrom either. Karsa still in the middle of the fray. 369 goes back into this fight. Hung's going to go down as well. FoFo's the last man standing. And 369, he ain't done just yet. JackeyLove finally gets a kill on the board. And towards the mid lane they go.
This isn't fair. Top esports are just winning fights they have no business doing. Great job from 369 to pick off Aix in the perfect scenario. Forces out the Onslaught of Shadows early, and then that dive potential that we talked about from Vici is no longer there. You can't get the Rell to follow up on all this engage. They're able to pick them off from multiple angles, and because you had Cube zoned out so well by the rest of the team, that's where you could have JackeyLove and Knight move forward aggressively, knowing that they were going to be safe.
And this is why I was saying before that last Dragon fight, hey, look, they've got items, maybe they could win, because you never can count top esports out. The game is never done when these players are on the server. They should be able to just about finish this one off. And after all of that, it's 2-0 to top esports.
How do they do it? All the time. It's just...
Did you lock in the Akali instead of a tank in the top lane, blah, blah, blah. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, because 369 can do that. And the crazy thing about top esports is that Knight can do that, Karsa can do that, JackeyLove can do that, and apparently maybe Jgl can do that kind of stuff too. So it feels like this team just has infinite ways to win the game. When you just give everyone a carry that they can pop off on, someone's eventually going to pop off.
I love Jgl, though. Like, Jgl is the missing piece of the puzzle here. Like, how many times did you see